yeah, I build guns because I want them accurate and I want them to work and I want them simple. So I started making rollers because I wanted a little more accuracy. In a roller, you basically get a little less recoil, a lot less recoil. Rollers, I think a lot of people think that it complicates things, but it's really like the design that I think I've come up with is really simple. I always leave a little bit of space there for a reel mount if you want to mount the reel on there. But just in and out of the boat constantly, single roller. It's just one pull on the top, you flip it over, and a pull on the bottom once you get used to it. And so it's kind of the same as if you were pulling two bands on a traditional gun. You're just pulling top, bottom, and then you're ready. It's not any more complicated, it's just different. So roller reduces the recoil because you have the power going this way with the bands pulling opposite of where the power's going. You're canceling out force that's going that direction by pulling the opposite direction, and so it's canceling it out. There's still pull on the top, so that's why I say you're not eliminating it completely. That would be a completely inverted roller. With just a standard roller, there's still a little bit, but man, it's so much smoother than a traditional style gun. So yeah, so on a traditional gun, instead of having some of the power returning back on the bottom, you have all the power on the top loaded and going in the same direction as the shaft, and so it's definitely you're gonna feel a bit of a pull there. It's not that it doesn't work, it's just a little less smooth. You're gonna get a little more power out of a roller because if you can see, a roller pulls all the way to this point. Once this is pre-tensioned on the bottom, your band is pulling all the way to the top, all the way to the end of where that shaft releases. When you're using a traditional gun, you're gonna see that the bands, when you pull them to power, they're gonna stop pulling at this point. This is where they're relaxed. So at this point, you lose that force that the bands would be doing on a roller at this point. And so it requires a little bit more band on a traditional gun to get the equivalent of what you get on a roller, because it's not continuing to carry on that extra power. So you can shorten down a gun because you're not having to have that extra length in band stretch that you achieve on a traditional gun. You condense that a bit more. So technically this gun that's the same length has a little bit more power and a little bit more range because of that, but with the equivalent size of stock in the gun. To me, I'm convinced that I shoot all rollers. It's so much smoother. I think maybe people are getting hung up on, I think with pipe guns and rollers, sometimes you can get hung up having issues with your shooting line getting caught within the rollers. And if you're using a slip tip, if you don't tuck that slip tip on the side of the gun, sometimes slip tips can get sucked into the roller. So there's some complication that can happen, and you have to just kind of know how to rig it and how to set it up. But I know with pipe guns, sometimes the issue is there's such a small amount of space where the rollers are getting mashed in with bands and shooting line, that then things get tangled up and you can get muzzle wrap, you can get issues at the last second. But because of it being a teak wood gun, it's spread out a little bit more, which sure, it's a little bit more mass, but it's not much more than a pipe gun. And then it allows the shooting line to be freed up, and I've never had muzzle wrap or any issues with a simple HR1 like this. So.